involve the following: mechanics, electronics, robotics, and programming. Mechatronics focus on intelligent systems that are flexible and reliable so that they work as an ally of men in different areas. One of the main objectives of a mechatronics engineer is to improve automated process. Normally machines that are automated have their own specific tasks. To have greater productivity at a low cost, that is why it's necessary to have knowledge of statistics and mathematics.
An example of this would be a hydraulic arm that moves a part from one place to another in a production line. Imagine a production in a factory where we have four different machines and each one has its own tasks to carry out a process together. This process will be constantly repeated so that the mechatronics engineer configures the times of the process as well as knowing which machines will be used, which ones, and where they will be placed.
Other areas in which they develop are the structural system of a robot, where you must have knowledge of different materials, know about dynamics, forces, and everything that entails to achieve the necessary movements. The mechatronics engineer has the ideal profile as the head in charge of quality control, since he has the necessary knowledge to supervise the tasks and technologies that are aimed at guaranteeing the sale of the product. Designing prototypes from software as well as mechanical design and project management.
The ethic of the mechatronic engineer. Ethics is derived from two Greek words, ethos with epsilon, custom, and ethos with eta, the action of oneself, the way of being of age basically. So based on this, we as students have chosen to decide that the mechatronic engineer must be upright and honest, fulfill his profession with fairness and honesty in order to fully carry out the commitment made, issuing fair parameters during the performance of his work. The mechatronic engineer must respect legal and moral standards, as they are the basis for the creation of human societies. The mechatronic engineer must always think of a common good. This includes the country's economy, the people's health, and care of environment. All his projects must respect these three important aspects. This is known as social responsibility. He has to keep maximum confidentiality when a company, government, or other client require his service. He must keep the information of his client under 7 keys. He has to keep up to date on all mechatronic topics and studies. He must take courses, go to conferences, workshops, meetings, and always try to be at the forefront with information. He must have a true vocation for mechatronics engineering. He has to carry this profession in his blood, heart, and mind. Only then will he be able to persist until he achieves his dreams in this area, stand out, and be a source of pride for the country. For no reason should he aim to create, design, modify, or plan mechatronic projects whose maximum objective is to harm the population, a country, a company, or nature.
Hello, well, I'm Fátima Esther, and I would like to begin by sharing my experience about my first semester at college, which one, because of the pandemic, was all online. Well, honestly, I wasn't expecting that the online classes at college were going to be different of what I was used to back in high school. I just thought that maybe all of the homework and the projects were going to be just a little bit more difficult. But at the beginning, that was the reality. But then it turned out to be way too much for me to handle. Like it was very difficult for me. Well, I feel that the things that affected me the most the first semester was that I used to spend a lot of time at home. Like I used to be just at my room working 24/7, and the amount of homework was way too much. And the internet at my beautiful Huejutla was not helping at all. But besides that, I think that I am so thankful that I was able to be at home and to have my parents and my sister's support, because there were a lot of times where I didn't have any time, not even just to eat, and my parents and my sisters were always there to me, to support me and to convince me to not to give up. And I was so heartbroken in the moment that I had to say goodbye to my home, but I always used to remember, and I still do, that all the things that I have been doing these last few months have been to make my dreams come true and to make my parents proud of me. And well, at the beginning of the second semester, my very first day at school was full of a lot of emotions. Like I was so excited to get to meet all of the people that I used to talk for the last 6 months, but at the same time I was so scared and so nervous because I was to go to my new school for the very first time, and I was about to live in a new city that I didn't know at the time. Like I still get lost sometimes. So 6 months ago I was very scared, and that very first week was full of changes for me. But I can say that at the end of that week, something happened to me that has affected me way too much. But it also has given me so much strength. Thanks to the panic attacks and to all the symptoms that the anxiety had within it, I had to go back to my home. I had to go back to Huejutla. And besides, all of that was very, very hard, and is still very, very, very hard. I have had all the support from such amazing people, like mostly of my family, but I also have had the support from my friends, from my classmates, and some of the teachers. But eventually I had to come back to Pachuca. I just spent some weeks back in Huejutla. I think it was 3 weeks, and then I came back. So in that way I could keep assisting to my classes. And since then I have had good days, bad ones, some even worse. Well, given my mental health issues, I can say that I have enjoyed every moment at school. Like I really enjoyed to get to work at the lab and to get to work in some of the projects that we have been doing all the semester for the different subjects that we have. Well, in these last few months, I have dared to experiment new things, and this is thanks to my friends' help, because now I can say that I'm more confident and that I have more courage in the things that I say. But at the same time, some of my friends encouraged me to start training with the school's volleyball team, and even though it has been very, very hard because of the time and because of the homework and because of the weather, that here is different than the one that I'm used to back in Huejutla. But besides that, I think that I really enjoy playing volleyball and train with the team.
My experience in the first semester was very good, considering that I made many friends and I learned how strict the study method of Instituto Politécnico Nacional can be. There were several sleepless nights, afternoon of study and morning of classes. However, thanks to all that, I learned many things that are useful to me in my subjects, and I obtained an average of 9.1. Something that I didn't like it were the way of teaching of two teachers, specifically the programming one, because he gave the classes by message and never resolved the doubts we have. In my current second semester, I really like getting to know the school and seeing my classmates in person. I made many friends and I can solve my doubts in person with the teachers. As well being able to play basketball, which is my favorite sport. I am on the UP's team and we train 3 times a week. Thanks to that, I have met many people, not only from university, as from CCDCs and other schools. Personally, I consider that my experience in this school has been very pleasant and has made me grow as a person, student, and mechatronic engineer.
My experience in higher education. Before thinking about studying at the IPN, I was studying at a Cebetis, in which I was taking a technical career in mechatronics. I liked it and was very passionate about the career. My teacher strongly recommended that I think about the IPN since most of them were graduates of that school. I wish why I entered into my option for the university. I looked for another school, but the one that convinced me was the UP. When I passed my entrance exam, I had to present some document in person. When I got to know the school, many things came to me soon, as the fact that there is only pure mountain at the school and it was very cool. A good aspect to I really love was the fact that the school is practically new, but too. My first semester was unfortunately only at first I was a little disappointed because in the first weeks I had no class, and with those I had they hardly explained. If in the middle of the semester the teacher started, I had to leave a lot of homework, and the bad thing is that they did not explain well, and most of them did it with videos, therefore they did not give any more explanation. Fortunately, I was able to pass the first semester without any depth of subjects, so I could enter the school that I want. The way that I chose the 1MM4, I hardly knew anyone, and the semester already had to be face-to-face. My first day in face-to-face classes, I did not talk to anyone. They began to have friends. Regarding the teacher, for me, it was a great change with respect to online. The only class I was finally able to understand my subjects better. The things that I liked the most was the manufacturing subject. Science, it taught you how to use the lathe, and also the communication class, since they were very didactic class, which but that in other subjects the teachers could not take the hybrid class in the best way, since they were very late and with the teacher loaded use with many activities. But in general, I really like to face-to-face classes in the UP.
Not long ago, I visited the Hidalgo campus interdisciplinary professional engineering unit for the first time. This was because I took part in the TRITA. It caught my attention and I took the admission exam and was one of the select ones. Since then I continue to attract my attention since I believe that most of the teachers who work in this unit are sufficiently prepared to teach. During my first semester I had some problems because of two professors. They gave the classes very quickly and I feel that I did not fully understand them. This does not mean that they were not prepared. It was quite the opposite. They were so prepared that they believed that the students could understand absolutely everything they taught, but in my case, they could not understand some words of their technical language. I would like the teachers to be a little more understanding with us and explain more calmly without getting desperate.